him, y'all. It looked like Benny spit this boy out. Tiny, you got some explaining to do.
Talking to me, this ain't your restaurant. This ain't your restaurant. Everything you make, I can pull out my pocket right now. I ain't tripping on you. I ain't tripping. Get the hell out of my face. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you.
Oh, the rumors are starting with T.I. The rumors are starting with T.I. It's coming out that King is not.
The drama surrounding King Harris has turned into one of hip-hop's messiest family sagas, unraveling the once glamorous image of the Harris household piece by piece. For years, T.I. and Tiny painted a picture-perfect family life on their hit reality show Family Hustle, convincing fans that behind the fame, there was unity, love, and stability. But cracks began to show in recent months, and then everything exploded at an Atlanta Falcons game when father and son clashed in front of thousands. What started as heated words escalated into T.I. snapping at King for embarrassing the family before putting his son in a headlock right there in public. Cameras caught it all, and instantly the internet lit up with memes, debates, and questions. How could a bond that seemed so tight fall apart so violently? The answer became even murkier when whispers started swirling that T.I. might not even be King's biological father, a rumor that transformed this family spat into a full-blown identity scandal. Fans, bloggers, and critics alike started digging, and what they found only added gasoline to the fire. King's behavior has been at the center of this chaos, and his history of viral controversies came back to haunt him as the family feud intensified. Known for his hot temper and desperate need to prove himself, King went live on Instagram during the Falcons game meltdown, yelling, "I stand on business," like it was his personal anthem. Instead of diffusing the situation, it made him look more unhinged, like he was fighting for validation in front of the world. Hours later, his frustration poured out in another live stream where he blasted his father with raw, stinging words. "I don't care who you are. I'm a grown man now. If I was a mistake, say that." That statement hit like a bombshell, leaving fans divided. Was this the rant of a spoiled celebrity kid desperate for attention, or the cry of a son who had never truly felt loved or acknowledged? His history didn't help his case. The infamous Waffle House incident resurfaced, where King disrespected workers with entitled arrogance, brushing them off as if they were beneath him. Then came the scandal with the homeless man, when King bet him $50 to eat a dangerously hot chip and laughed as the man suffered. Instead of apologizing when the internet dragged him, King doubled down, refusing to show remorse. Each episode painted him as out of touch, entitled, and reckless. And every time T.I. seemed to defend him instead of disciplining him, it only made people question both father and son even more. But then came the twist that flipped the narrative. For years, people assumed King had grown up in pure luxury, surrounded by wealth and comfort. But receipts began surfacing that showed he actually spent most of his childhood living with his grandmother in the hood. He may have had nicer clothes or perks compared to kids around him, but he wasn't living under T.I.'s roof like fans assumed. Even King himself admitted that most of the time he only saw his father when it was time to film Family Hustle. Once the cameras stopped rolling, he was back at his grandma's house. His siblings later confirmed that none of T.I.'s kids truly lived with him full-time. They were called in whenever filming was scheduled, but day-to-day life was spent elsewhere. This revelation shook fans who had adored the perfect family image they'd been sold. Suddenly, King's outburst started looking less like entitlement and more like resentment. He wasn't just lashing out for clout, he was expressing the anger of a child who felt left out, abandoned, and raised by circumstance instead of consistent parenting. It explained why his clashes with T.I. cut so deep, why he exploded on Instagram, and why he constantly seemed to be fighting for respect that he never felt he truly had at home. And then came the rumor that pushed everything into scandal territory. The whispers that T.I. might not even be King's real father. The internet went wild when photos surfaced of a man named B. Anthony, whose resemblance to King was uncanny. Comment sections lit up with comparisons, fans posting side-by-sides and captions like, "Y'all telling me this ain't King's real daddy?" Social media detectives dug deeper, questioning whether Tiny had any past ties to Anthony, and speculating if this man could be the missing piece behind King's identity struggles. What made it worse was Tiny's silence. She never confirmed or denied the rumors, which only fueled the gossip. If she had stepped up to shut it down, maybe the fire would have cooled, but with no response, the story spread faster. From that point on, every single moment between T.I. and King was picked apart. When T.I. tried to hug his son on camera, critics called it staged. When King lashed out, people said it was resentment bubbling over because he knew the truth. The Falcons' game headlock became more than a disciplinary act. It was now framed as symbolic of a fractured, possibly false bond. King himself fanned the flames with comments like, "Stop making the world think you with me when you don't." Suddenly, the Harris family wasn't just in the spotlight for reality TV. They were caught in the center of a public paternity scandal with stakes bigger than any rap beef. Now, King Harris stands at a crossroads that could define his entire future. On paper, he has everything: fame, money, a platform, and a legendary last name. But reality paints a much darker picture. A young man caught between two worlds, growing up half in the hood with his grandmother and half in the spotlight of his parents' fame. That duality left him scarred, confused, and constantly struggling to define who he really is. One day, he flexes as the son of a rap legend. The next, he's desperate to prove he made it on his own. That contradiction has become his brand. Messy, raw, unpredictable, and deeply conflicted. For King, the challenge now is whether he turns this chaos into art or lets it destroy him. If he channels the pain, betrayal, and questions about identity into his music, he could create something so authentic that it shakes the industry. Fans crave realness, and messy as it is, King's story is as real as it gets. But if he keeps spiraling into reckless stunts, disrespect, and clout chasing, he risks becoming a cautionary tale of fame gone sideways. As for T.I., he faces his own reckoning. Quick clapbacks and public headlocks won't fix a broken bond. What King seems to want is not just acknowledgement in front of cameras, but consistency, guidance, and unconditional love behind the scenes. Because at the end of the day, fatherhood is more than blood. It's presence, respect, and trust. Until that gap is bridged, the Harris family will remain fractured. What was once sold as the perfect TV family is now wide open for the world to dissect. The question everyone's asking now is, will King Harris rise as an artist who turned pain into power, or collapse under the weight of family secrets and public scandal? Either way, this saga is far from over, and the world will be watching every step of the way.